When we look closely at the global supply chain, there is a massive structural friction acting as a heavy drag on modern commerce. In the standard linear retail model, a product moves from the manufacturer through a series of middlemen before eventually landing on a retail shelf. As a physical item makes that journey, approximately 60% of its total profit margin is siphoned off by intermediaries. That capital evaporates into logistics networks, regional distributors, wholesalers, and legacy advertising channels. The end consumer pays for this entire apparatus at the checkout counter, yet receives zero compounding value from the transaction. Buyers are locked into funding a distribution machine designed specifically to exclude them from its financial success. NEXA bypasses this legacy friction by building a circular, tokenized consumer ecosystem. Instead of surrendering that 60% margin to outside distributors, the system recaptures the capital and keeps it internal. The network then redistributes that captured value directly back to its users, issuing a native digital asset as proof of participation. This mechanism is powered by pairing high-frequency physical purchases, everyday consumer goods, with frictionless Web3 onboarding. The result is a scalable membership network. It removes the technical barriers of legacy crypto operations and avoids the structural risks of multi-level marketing. By redirecting profits to buyers, NEXA converts its own customer base into its distribution network. Customer acquisition goes from an operational expense to a self-sustaining loyalty engine. The token economy functions because it is backed by real-world market margins, not inflationary token printing. This diagram breaks down the unit economics of a standard 15,000 VND retail purchase. The capital splits into three core centers. 30% covers actual production, 10% covers operations, leaving a massive 60% as a recaptured reward pool. We can subdivide that 60% pool to see exactly how value flows. First, the network reward is strictly capped at 25%. This reward is spread across a maximum of 9 levels. Limiting the depth prevents the system from over-incentivizing recruitment over actual consumption. Next, 10% is allocated directly to customer loyalty rewards, retaining the buyer. Another 10% flows to an ecosystem fund to maintain logistics, while 10% is retained as corporate profit. The final 5% is deliberately allocated to a deflationary token burn mechanism. Measured precise, because every reward tier is strictly capped within that initial 60% real-world margin, the math guarantees absolute solvency. The system pays out precisely what it earns. To reach mass scale, the system uses a fiat-first acquisition strategy. Users do not need to buy tokens to enter the economy. Acquisition starts with a standard transaction. A user purchases a fast-moving consumer good using traditional currency. That physical transaction acts as an invisible onboarding trigger. The purchase automatically generates a digital Web3 wallet for the user in the background. The user is immediately opted into a membership tier system. Instantly, the network deposits NEXA coin into their active reward interface, verifying their participation. As the user makes routine, repeat purchases of physical goods, their accumulating history drives them upward from a basic Tier 1 member to a Tier 4 partner. By making simple consumption the sole driver of onboarding, the network eliminates seed phrases and exchanges. Organic Web3 user acquisition occurs at near zero cost. Combining stable physical consumer goods with highly volatile digital assets under a single brand creates operational tension. To protect the products, NEXA utilizes an 8-pillar house of brands architectural solution. Consumer products operate as independent, distinct retail brands, insulating them entirely from crypto market sentiment. The NEXA token is isolated inside its own structural pillar, the digital assets layer. The token serves as the unified financial infrastructure, connecting these autonomous physical pillars horizontally. This hybrid architecture shields retail sales from market volatility, while simultaneously creating diversified utility for the token. The token economy operates on a recommended total supply ranging from 100 million to 500 million. This specific parameter balances the necessary liquidity required for network operations against the scarcity of a premium asset. Primary demand is forced by utility. Tokens are strictly required to pay for internal ecosystem services. Secondary demand is driven by users staking tokens to unlock higher membership tiers and maximize their rewards. Active price support begins with corporate revenue systematically executing token buybacks. Simultaneously, systemic burns permanently remove tokens from the circulating supply. underpinned by real-world FMCG cash flow and engineered scarcity. These mechanisms establish an economic baseline that distinguishes the token from purely speculative assets. When you assemble the unit economics, the frictionless onboarding, and the tokenomics, you get a single interconnected economic loop. It starts with Step 1. A physical product purchase generates the recaptured margin. Step 2. That margin directly funds the token rewards distributed to the user. Step 3. Accumulating rewards lock in user loyalty, which drastically drops future customer acquisition costs. Step 4. Staked and locked tokens create system scarcity. As ecosystem demand rises, the token's value increases. Step 5. That increased token value incentivizes the consumer to make even more physical product purchases, accelerating the entire loop. This is a data-rich, consumption-driven economy. It is entirely separate from recruitment-driven legacy models. Integrating Web3 tokenomics with physical unit economics routes the recaptured value of the supply chain directly to the consumers who fund it.